Hey folks, welcome to section 3.6. Today we're going to talk about dividing two polynomials using long division. In order to do this, we're going to revisit third grade math. Yes, I said third grade math. So let's look at this third grade example here. 284 divided by 3, and let's work through the steps that we would have done in third grade to get this. Our first question would have been, how many times does 3 go into 2? And we would have answered that and said, well, it doesn't. So then we would next ask, how many times does 3 go into 28? This is actually the exact same question as what is 28 divided by 3? So you'll notice my first step is to divide. 28 divided by 3, we know is 9. And then the next step is to multiply those two numbers. So we're going to take the 9 times the 3 and we'll get our 27. We always drew an equation bar underneath that because the next step is that we would subtract. 28 minus 27 is 1. And then we would know that the next thing is to bring down the next number. So step 4 is to bring down. And then we would repeat. We would ask, how many times does 3 go into 14? Or what is 14 divide 3? We know that that's 4. Multiply, 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract, 14 minus 12 is 2. When we first began this, remember that we called this 2 a remainder. Later on, when we learned about fractions, we would call that a 2/3, a 94 and 2/3. For now, though, we're just going to leave it as a remainder. I have some terminology over here on the right of your notes. Notice I've already named the divisor. The divisor is the number on the outside. That's the 3. The quotient is the answer to the division problem. That's just the 94 piece of that. The remainder we know is 2. And the dividend is the number under the box, which is 284. The number on the inside. So now what I'd like to take a look at is dividing these two polynomials. I want to take this big, ugly polynomial up on top, and I want to divide by the one on bottom. I've already set it up using my same box from third grade, so that that big ugly guy is my dividend and the 5x minus 1 is my divisor. I'm going to use the exact same steps here, the same 5 steps, but I am going to manipulate them just a little bit. So step number 1 is that you're going to divide leading term by leading term. That's a phrase that we learned back in section 5, so this isn't new. So you'll notice the leading term of my dividend is 20x to the 4th, and we're going to divide the leading term of the divisor, 5x. So that's going to be 20x to the 4th divided by 5x. It's just a fraction, so reduce your fraction, reduce the numbers, reduce the variables, and you're going to get 4x cubed. And that's going to go up on top. Step number 2, you're going to multiply. Now remember, you multiplied the top number by the divisor. Make sure when you multiply by the divisor, you multiply it by every piece. This is called distribution. So I'm going to say multiply by distribution. So 4x cubed times 5x is going to be 20x to the 4th. 4x cubed times negative 1 is going to be negative 4x cubed. Put your fraction bar, sorry, not your fraction bar, your equation bar under there. Step number 3 in third grade was to subtract. Now here you have to be careful because you have to subtract every single term. Subtract every single term. That means that you have to subtract the 20x to the 4th. You also have to subtract a negative, hey, subtract a negative is positive, this 4x cubed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change colors and I'm going to show you the signs for this. If I subtract the 20x to the fourth and I subtract the negative 4x cubed, that's going to become positive. So I'm really just changing the sign of every single term. And then I'm going to subtract. So 20x to the fourth minus 20x to the fourth goes away. 6x cubed plus 4x cubed is going to be 10x cubed. Step number 4, bring down. Just like in third grade. Make sure, though, that you bring down the entire next term, the negative 2x squared. Number 5, repeat. So we go back to the top. We have leading term now is 10x cubed. Divide leading term 5x. So 10x cubed divide 5x is going to be 2x squared. Goes up top, positive 2x squared. Go to your multiply step. Make sure you multiply everything. So this is 10x cubed, and 2x squared times negative 1 is a negative 2x squared. Get your equation bar. And this is where I'm going to change colors. I'm going to subtract every single term. So I'm going to change the sign of every single term. So the 10x cubed becomes negative. The negative 2x squared becomes positive. Combine like terms. 10x cubed minus 10x cubed goes away. Negative 2x squared plus 2x squared also goes away. This is actually a 0x squared. I'm not going to put that up top because it would be a placeholder. I could if I wanted to, but adding 0 doesn't do anything. And besides, if I added it, well, I'll show you what would happen here. So next, bring down your positive 15x. If I took that 0x squared to the top and I multiplied by my divisor, it would still become 0. And then if I subtracted, I would still have that 0 there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring down the next term, that negative 2. And basically, we're skipping the whole entire round that deals with that 0x squared, simply because everything becomes zeros. So now our new leading term is this 15x. So we'll do 15x divide 5x, leading term divide leading term, and this is going to be a positive 3. So that's going to go up top, positive 3. Multiply by distribution, so that's going to be a 15x minus a 3. Get your equation bar. Let's change colors and change all the signs. So the 15x becomes negative, the negative 3 becomes positive. Combine like terms, and 15x minus 15x goes away. Negative 2 plus 3 becomes a 1. So now what I'm looking at here, I have my quotient. My quotient is the number up top. Just going to call it Q. This is 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 3. My remainder is just a 1. And that's how you divide two polynomials using long division.